You are listening to Unguarded, a podcast with Joe, that's me, and Bec, that's her, where we talk about relationships and life in every season. And we're back, right? We had a couple week break with the fires, and we just been, part of our team here at Mosaic that's just been hustling and trying to serve our city and help our city. And so we did a very quick update because a lot of people are asking, what's it like in LA? So we did one a few days after.
Yeah.
The fires.
My mom's been, every time I call my mom, she lives in New Zealand, and she's like, tell me everything that's happening with the fires. It's been very topical.
Very topical, and we're still in it, and there's still a lot of devastation. But this is our first, full episode since the fires, right? And people are asking and wondering, how bad is it, or is it still bad? Yes, and even worse than you can imagine. We had a team that did something called an ash out, which is really incredible, and special, but such a hard moment where you go through the ashes of a family with their house, and you help search for belongings. And so, myself, Chad, Brokaw, Marcos, Reggie, a whole crew, we went out and just you're shoulder to shoulder in these suits to protect you from hazardous materials, and you get really close with the person who's lost everything. And so it hit home because it's LA, it's our home. But then when you're literally standing in the ash of someone's home and you see their whole world is gone, it was one of the more harrowing moments, in a long time. But then at the same time, one of the more beautiful moments that we became friends with this couple, and we really took it on to go, hey, we want to make sure that they know they have people, and we've come alongside them, and even we bought them. We heard they love salads, and so we bought them a gift card, $100 gift card to Sweet Green, and they were so emotional, going I can't believe you guys would do that. And we're like, hey, this isn't going to solve everything, but we want you to know that we heard you and we see you. So we've been trying to do that all over the city as much as possible. I know you've been hustling and delivering care packages to people and outfits for families that have nothing.
Yeah, the cool part about it is devastating, and it feels heavy especially when you go into Altadena area, or in Pasadena area even. But meeting the families is hard, but then it's this beautiful thing where you get to meet someone you wouldn't have met otherwise. So just in the same way that you became friends with them, a group of us took care packages, met these families, and have become friends with them. And it's just there's certain people you meet and you're just I know I'm meant to be part of your life. This family has 5 kids. They one-upped us.
They win forever.
But I know what it's like to have multiple kids and how hard that must be for them. They're having to move every week from one Airbnb to the next. And it's by the time they've moved into the Airbnb, they're trying to figure out the next Airbnb, and they're trying to repack to move again. So we're really surrounding them as a community to figure out, okay, how do we get them long-term home, and then how do we get them settled? And so it's one of those, it's heartbreaking and yet beautiful to become friends with people that you wouldn't have met otherwise.
Yeah, very true.
And I think we said a lot at Mosaic, but we're in it this is our city, so we're in it for months and years to come. And it's just beautiful to see people's generosity outside of Los Angeles pouring into LA. That's
all over
been
the
really
world,
cool.
so many people.
Yeah.
So please, if you still want to contribute and be a part of it and give, we as a church have raised almost $750,000, which is pretty extraordinary, or almost $700,000. So our goal is $750,000, and then we'll see the next. So if you're looking for a place to give, it can be trusted at Mosaic, and we're doing a lot of good with that. So just keep
with school. We're doing with schools.
take care of schools,
Families.
families, churches,
Yeah.
individuals, creatives, like we've had our hands in a bunch of different arenas because we want to help as many people as we
Yeah.
can. But keep praying for LA, keep praying for everybody
Rebuild.
who's just trying to rebuild. Yeah, it's gonna take a long time, but we're in it. But yeah, what should we talk about today? You know, besides fire, that's the fire relief is a huge thing, but it's gonna be. But we also got other
I mean,
things.
I was going to just say, like, how we're doing, but that's
Just-
more basic.
We're
I'm
gonna
just
talk about-
still in trauma right now, so
You know,
For
I
their
feel
own
like if we
personal-
go down the lice rabbit hole, it'll derail us. But yeah, we had a lice outbreak in our house that
we
Is-
figured out at 8 p.m. last night.
yeah, so that was fun. But we'll save that for another
Really?
time. Yeah, we don't have time. We're already we gotta get into the meat. Because one side note before we jump in, because this is very exciting, we have
Oh, yes.
a special, incredible, awesome thing coming. That should we tell them? Should we tease it? Should we let people know?
I mean, I think we just
We
say it.
Just say it. So we're doing a live Unguarded podcast.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Yay!
It's coming up February 16th, and maybe if that one goes well, maybe there'll be another one. We'll see, but we know for sure February 16th, Sunday night, we're doing a live Unguarded episode. So make sure if you haven't gone to our website, theunguardedpodcast.com. Give us your info. Get on the mailing list, the newsletter, so we can let you know about all those
Yep.
details. But yeah, fly in wherever you are. Come and
Yeah.
join us. Drive in, and of course, if you're local in LA, we expect you to be there.
Yeah, I'm so excited because I just cannot wait to do a live one. Like that, to meet the people to meet all of you that have been watching with us, and it feels like a family. And I can't wait for it. The energy of the room, the question. Hopefully, we can do a Q&A.
Definitely do a Q&A. Take
Definitely.
questions ahead of time.
That's true. We'll
Yeah.
do that too.
But speaking of family, right? As a family,
Yes.
we've been watching a certain show that is like primetime television for us, right? It's like we're old school TiVoing, we're recording, ready for the new episode. And our family show has been Beast Games. Mm-hmm. Right? I don't know if you've watched Beast Games, if you tapped in, if you know about who Mr. Beast is. I knew of him because of the kids, because he's pretty popular in that age group and does all these videos.
On YouTube, right?
Yep. I never had seen his thing, never subscribed, never was in that world. But kids really wanted to watch this game show, and he got a show on Amazon Prime. So I was like, cool, let's watch it. And immediately
We're hooked.
we just got hooked. Episode a week. So every Thursday, we're just ready. When's a new Beast Games episode coming out? And this last episode was really fascinating because the premise of the show, 1,000 contestants all vying for a one person winning $5 million. And it's like he takes all the hits. So it's the best of Squid Games, the best of Survivor, Amazing Race, right? All of these incredible game shows. And then he adds his production value. It's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
But it's a social experiment in a lot of ways, right? They're competing, and there's, you have to team together, and then there's eliminations.
In a lot of ways, that is like the Squid Game undercurrent,
Sure.
right? That it's all relational. It's all, what would you do in this situation?
Yep. And it's like a reality show element because it feels like they've been together and they're best friends for 6 months, but it's probably 2 weeks
Yeah.
max, But even in 2 weeks, that's an interesting thing. In 2 weeks, can you bond with someone? Can you, in a shared experience, really, figure out, hey, can I trust you? Mm-hmm. Or am I for you? Or am I going to make an alliance with you, right? So it's been a really fascinating show. And then, spoiler alert, right? You can pause and fast forward if you really care
Or
about
just come
this.
back to it, this episode.
But we're at the final 10. And there's a moment where, we won't get into all the details, but they they have a choice between whether really to split this money equally, or at different points when they don't know who is making what decision, you can take more than other people. You can really take as much as you want. And
I think you have to just explain that the first person has
the first, there's
$1
$1
to
million.
10. Yeah, $1 million, 1 to 10.
Yep. And they go in order. First person can either take all the money,
Yeah.
or they can split it. They can take none, their choice. So the first person takes equal share, 100K, and they're like very confident. Everybody's going to do this. And then the next person takes a little bit more than 100K. But then by the third person,
Didn't take long, did it?
didn't take long at all. The third person decides to take 650,000. Just like
What
boom,
in-
boom, boom, leaves basically $25,000 left for the remaining 6 contestants. And and why this was interesting, and what I thought would be a fun conversation, an interesting conversation to dive into, is his rationale was, I did it for my family.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just his talking point. Because then once it all whittles down, and once they figure out, when they go up to the money and they see it's been whittled down, and they realize that somebody in the group was
Like betrayed
greedy
them. Yeah.
and betrayed them, because they all thought that they were on the same page, that they'd split, they start questioning and trying to figure out who, and then asking, why would you do this? And the person just kept saying, I have a family. I did it for my family. You would have done the same thing. But that was the irony, is he kept saying, I did it for my family, and you would have done the same thing, but they all were like, no, we wouldn't have.
Yes.
Because we also have a family, and we weren't going to betray.
Yeah.
And so why did you do that? Why are you blaming your family? And I thought that was such a fascinating moment of, can your character be bought?
Mm.
Right? Can your loyalty, does it have a price tag? And he was painting the facade that the only reason I made this choice is because I did it for my family. But everybody in that room and everybody watching could feel the weight of, this wasn't for your family. This was for your own justification. You did it because you wanted the money.
Yeah.
You know? And so, yeah, what for you was interesting about that moment? Why did it bother you, or why did you have an issue with it? Was it that he took the money, or was it the posture that he had in engaging with the other contestants?
I mean, I think it was a bit of both. I thought it was interesting that when he took the money, I love this, that they actually give you the money and they put it in your room.
Mm.
And so he has his bed, there's nothing else in the room except the money surrounding, like bags and bags of cash. And he's just surrounded by this cash, but he's so lonely, and he just is like, it almost starts eating him up inside.
Yeah, he's weeping in bed.
Yeah, and he's pacing the room. He can't sleep. He's like, what have I done? But then that's the interesting thing, is that in the morning when they ask him, like, do you regret it? He says, I don't regret it. It's for my family. It's for my family. And I think, like, he obviously did feel sick about it because he couldn't sleep and he was crying about it.
Yeah.
But then when he came to in front of his peers and he's trying to, like, maybe win them back over, he couldn't admit that he had done wrong. Like, I think it would have been so much better if he was like, you know what, guys, I blew it. I just did think of my family, but now I realize that what have I done? I've kind of, like, sold my soul for it.
Yeah.
And is it worth that money?
Yeah.
And what happens to you? Like, you mentioned this, there's a few episodes earlier where they can choose $1 million, was it? But then their whole team, they get the $1 million, but their whole team gets eliminated.
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, I wouldn't do it. I would never take the money, even if it's $1 million, because of how you will feel afterwards if you chose money over people. And then finally this guy has this opportunity and he chooses the money over the people.
Yeah. Because it's a game show. At the end of the day, you're like, because I go back and forth. I'm like, well, they all go into it knowing they're trying to win money. They're trying to, better their lives. I totally get that. But I think that's why the premise is interesting, because then when you add the social component, when you have these moments where you feel like these aren't just people I'm doing a competition with, but they become friends, then the standards shift, right? And the expectations shift. And I guarantee on day one, if they were offered the same thing, people would have done it in a heartbeat because you don't have any ties.
Yes.
But then now you have ties, and people gotten to know you, and when trust has been established. Like, that's the piece for me. It's not that I would be judge someone or condemn someone. Not that I'm doing this with this guy anyway. Not that I would judge them for choosing to take money.
Yeah.
It's it's when you've established trust with someone, when you fought hard to show your loyalty to them.
Yeah.
When they are looking at you going, oh, I can trust you. That was the part that was like, oh, that's the punch, when people are literally saying, I trust you, and then you make a decision that shows that you were never worthy of that trust.
Trust, yeah.
And then, sorry, one last thing, and then how you build back, because that was the other thing. I think if he just would have owned it, he maybe even could have built some trust back to go, hey, I was just offered a lot of money, and I took it. Maybe it was a wrong choice. I was thinking about my family first and foremost, but I realized on the other side, man, I might have made a mistake. I didn't see how much it would hurt you guys. Mm-hmm. But he dug in, and it was just that line just kept, I did it for my family. That's the part that rubbed me the wrong way. Because I'm like, don't let your family be the excuse for your cowardice.
Yes.
Don't let other people be the excuse for your greed.
Yeah.
Don't let other people be the justification for you choosing less.
Yeah.
Because I never want you or the kids or God to be the placeholder for my actual intentions.
Yeah, just own it and say, I wanted the money.
Yep. 100%.
Because then all of them are like, well, we all have family. Are you saying that our family doesn't matter, but yours does?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they were all thinking of each other, but he wasn't thinking of anybody else.
Yeah, that's good.
And then after that, this was even worse, I felt like, almost worse, is when he pulls them together, which you think he's bringing everyone together to kind of apologize or to win them back over. And then what is it? He just starts telling them about the plan of the alliance. Right. He throws his friends under the bus.
I forgot that. Yeah, that's far worse than even taking the money.
Yeah.
I think I blocked that part out of my brain.
You were screaming at the TV.
That's true.
You're like, I cannot believe you. Like, if you're going down, take the hit, because you're the one that made the choice, right?
Yeah.
But then he starts telling everyone, like, you're a pawn in our game, and these are the people that I'm working with, and you're a pawn, you're a pawn, you're a pawn.
Yeah.
And it just makes everyone feel icky, and maybe there was an alliance, but what if they threw that alliance out in their own mind?
For sure. But for me, though, there definitely was an alliance. Obviously, he's not making this stuff up, but for me, the part that so many things. Thank you for bringing that back up.
Yeah.
Because so many things I had issues with, and the main thing was not even that he was airing out the alliance or like, whistleblowing that this was happening, but how he did it. He was trying to demean people, as he talked about, where he was like, "You're a pawn." They've never respected you, and even he kept talking about everybody else as if he wasn't a part of the alliance.
Yeah.
And we took it as an opportunity to talk to the kids, right, about ownership and
I love how
loyalty.
River was like, "Do you like this man, Daddy? Do you like this man?" And at first you're like, "It's not that I don't like him, River. I don't like his actions that he took the money." Then the moment he started pointing fingers at people,
I said, I can't stand this guy.
he goes, "River, I can't stand him."
Because that says something about who you are, and all of it was connected, right? The money, taking $650,000, was the visual representation of the greed in his heart, of the lack of character, of somebody who could, with one breath, say everything I do is for my family, but then his actions and then even his words on this other side of going, no, I'm going to make sure that I deflect and I'm not the villain. Because that's what we talk to the kids about, of when you make a mistake, and I want this to be true in my life. When I make a mistake, I own it. I ask for forgiveness. I say, yep, I'm so sorry, I blew it. My bad, will you forgive me? Let's move forward. The worst thing we can do when we mess up is look for the next villain to deflect the blame, because it makes us feel better about ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm not as bad as this person.
Yeah.
And that's never a healthy.
So why do you own it? What's important about owning it?
One, I think the biggest thing, first thought, that's a great question. First thought, why is it important to own it? Because you end it. When you don't own it, it still has life. It still breathes on the other side of the mistake, right? When you don't own it, it's as if it's like a zombie. It's the Walking Dead that is just haunting you and haunting you and haunting you. But the moment you can own it, you kill that thing. You kill the pain. You kill the, you don't kill the consequences, because every choice has consequences, but you kill the shelf life. And when you don't own it, it just jumps from one person to the next. It jumps from one moment to the next, and it goes farther and extends the lifeblood of that mistake for far longer than it should have.
Yeah. Like you said, I think that's an interesting, it's like a haunting ghost. Like it eats you up on the inside. And then what choices do you start making because you hate yourself for the choice you made because you didn't own it? And so now you feel shame. And so now you do destructive things to yourself.
Yeah.
Because you didn't own that mistake years ago. And then I wonder too, like, what else is a cost to him? What else did he lose by choosing the money and now throwing everyone under the bus? Is the friendships.
Yeah.
Like,
friendships,
I think
the respect. Yeah.
Yeah, the people. And even public respect. Like when he goes home and it all goes to his friends or family. Like, what are they going to say about him? But also, yeah, those friendships could have been lifelong friendships. And I just wonder if, because you mentioned it in, episodes before, there's been moments where people choose friendship over the money. And I'm like, I wonder if that's richer, having that person in your life. Like, they think it's only been 2 weeks or whatever, but they actually did have a deep connection. And they do become best friends for life. And they have each other's back. Like, is that more than any money that they could have got from the show?
Sure. That's the interesting part, right? That's the draw of the show and the social component. And what is the cost of friendships? Even at Mosaic, we're this month really excited because we're gonna start a brand new series, focus all month, not just on Sundays, but we're gonna do a relationship class on Wednesdays, and that's also a thing you can tune in. We'll make sure that info is available to you as well, or anybody around the world can hop on a Zoom with us, and we're just gonna try to help people grow in their relationships. But we're taking a whole month to focus on relationships, romantic, platonic, friendships.
Yeah.
Because that's what we've learned is the gold in life. Money's going to come and go. Opportunity is going to come and go. But people are the commodity that's not supposed to come and go. Right? Friendships aren't supposed to be transactional. Right? They're supposed to be lifelong.
Well, the thing is, even if they do come in for seasons or whatever. Yeah. Because that can happen. But
that's true.
When you have a friend for life, then there's something, a treasure in that. That's deeper than. I don't know if there's anything more important than relationships.
Yeah. Good health.
Yeah, but even if you're in not good health, what do you need?
Yeah, no, just for sure.
No, but I really was thinking, like, shoot, is there anything more important? But I think it's not being alone. I think that's the biggest thing, that no one wants to be alone. And so it was such an interesting, I love that Mr. Beast is like brilliant at those visual, he creates what's happening. It's like a visual reflection of what's happening in the soul. So the fact that he says he's doing it for the family, but here he is in a room by himself, surrounded by money. Yep. It's like, is it?
And just, that's the thing is, I think what people want and what people have issues with is hypocrisy.
Yes. Okay.
And then
that was interesting.
Not being genuine.
Yeah.
Because it's like the hypocrisy of, like, in an earlier episode, he was like, moral high ground with this other person. He couldn't believe that he did this. And then literally one episode later, he's making a 10 times, worse decision with low character.
And when his friend points it out to him, he couldn't see it.
Yeah, he was like, no, it's so different, you know. But
But
that
isn't
just
that interesting how he says that's so different?
yeah,
Like when it's you making the mistake, oh, it's a different situation. When he did what he did, when
Yep.
his character was in question, oh, well, that's definitely a character issue. But when it's my mistake, it's not a character issue.
yeah.
So maybe it's hard for people to see their own, that it's a character issue.
Is it hard for you to see a character issue?
Oh, no. Just kidding. I mean, I'm perfect, so it's really hard to see it, actually.
Of course.
Well, honestly, I never knew what character meant. Like, no one ever really used that terminology.
Should we go old school and talk about, not old school, even like where character comes from? You know,
Yeah.
we talk. I love character in that
Yeah.
conversation.
I
I've
know
taught a
you
lot about it, and the word character, where we get it from, is from a Greek stamping tool, and it was called. I'll get the pronunciation so wrong, I'm sure, but it's karikta, and it was a literal stamping tool from Greece, and that they would, you know, old like signet letter type style, but they would stamp that, and that's how you knew this was like an official. Okay, it's the mark. So when they were trying to figure out, and you know, old English language, what's a word that could embody the mark that we leave on people? They said, oh, what about that Greek tool, karikta? And so that's where we get the word character from.
Oh my gosh,
is
that's cool.
a stamping tool. Isn't that cool?
Yes.
But yeah, so that's why even that moment was so important. I want to get back into you, but because character is always going before us, and character is always what we're leaving people with, good, bad, and in between. That,
That's a
you know,
good
we
point.
never leave people indifferent. That we always leave a stamp on them. And the question is, what is the stamp? What's the mark that we're going to leave?
So that's an interesting thing too. It's like how he made them feel. Right? When you make a selfish choice like that, how you change people, even their belief in others. Like there's moments when in the show someone would do something, they're like, yeah, we can do this because we're working together.
Sure.
There's hope. And then when something like that happens and it's you deceive, you know, betray someone's trust, it like changes the other people around them. Like it brings pain. So it's interesting that your character and your lack of character can bring pain to others.
Yeah. How so?
Well, just that I remember even seeing that one girl because I think she's the one that liked
Well, how
him.
about you?
Oh, me?
Or us? Me. Throw me under the bus. Whoever, you know. But yeah, just shifting for a second into real life, our
Yeah.
lives, like the pain of a lack of character.
I mean, okay, I can't think of an exact sample, but I'm thinking, for instance, when you, because I think you have great character.
She laughs.
No, you do, because you've taught me over the years. I didn't know anything about character. I felt like I knew how maybe to be kind, but I didn't really know the impact of character. And you kept like teaching that and pouring that into me and asking deep questions about my character. So, but just thinking about even in our relationship, when you own something, then it just doesn't like simmer. You remove the ego out of it. So when you apologize, you're like, yeah, you know what? I don't know. It could be simple as like, hey, you didn't get gas in the car again. This is a thing that
Very-
happens all the time. I'm
very
like,
deep wound.
Oh my gosh. Why am I always in a car with a red light, you know?
I like to live
Or
on the
orange
edge.
light. So
I don't let a gas tank tell me that my life is empty. My life is full. I don't need you to.
yeah, delusion. I'm either doing the gas or I'm doing the trash. Those are the two things. Don't talk about. We flip roles. You cook. I do trash. And I clean.
100%. Keep going. Keep
Okay.
going. We digress.
So with character, when you own something, then it feels like, okay, well, now I don't feel crazy because I brought something to you and you owned it. And then it's like, you're like repairing whatever was damaged by that action
When's the last
because
time
you
that?
own it.
When's the last time you felt like you did that?
That I owned it?
Yeah, owned it, repaired the damage. You're perfect. You're right.
Can you think of anything?
In my own life or your
That
life?
I owned it. I don't know. I'm trying to think.
It's your responsibility to remember the moments you own, not mine.
Okay, well, okay, the one thing that comes to my mind is with my kids, with our kids, is that I've owned when I feel like, okay, I went too far. I was like too mad. I threw off, it's like the pressure cooker. And I think every mom can understand this. Like, there's a pressure cooker, and you're patient, and then you just, bleh. And I'll get mad, and Sweet River will be like, you were screaming at me. And I'm like, no, I wasn't. When I'm like, okay, maybe. Maybe I was a little. So for him, I put him in his room, and I was like, I could just tell him, like, well, you were wrong for what you did. And so this is the punishment. But then there's like that little inkling, like, this is going to crush his little heart, And he was like, you were yelling at me. You were yelling at me. So he was so afraid. And I know that feeling of like, or I've thought about how as a parent you have so much power and you could use that power to just tell them, no, you're wrong and I'm right. And they have really literally they can't do anything about it. But I've heard studies, obviously, that is terrible because then when they do have power, then they'll flip it, can flip it on you. Or you're not really teaching them. Yeah. So anyway, I sat with him, instead of leaving him, I sat with him and I just said, I'm sorry. You're right. I shouldn't have got mad with you. Yes, you pushed the line. Yes, I asked you this, and I think I was very clear with you. But I did get really angry. And I don't think that's fair on you because it really wasn't about you. It was just me being exhausted. Yeah.
And did you feel like you got your power back?
After I said that?
Yeah. Like in a good way, not you need to overpower, but because I feel like there is something in that of like that is one of the reasons why ownership is essential is because it's like a proper exchange of power. Where when you don't own it, you're giving away your power. It's everybody else's fault, or it's the situation's fault, or it's you specifically, it's you individual, it's your fault. And you actually, what you're saying is I'm powerless. But the moment you take ownership is you take the power back. And and then you can be trusted with that power again.
Wow.
Like it, I always go to sports with so many things. It makes me think of the NFL, and the Super Bowl is about to happen, Chiefs, Eagles. And there's a lot of conversation around the Chiefs that, like, the refs cheat on their behalf. Like they get more calls. It's not fair. Yeah. And in the game, to get to the Super Bowl for the AFC, it was the Bills versus the Chiefs. And the Bills keep getting so close. Every year they get so close, but they can't seem to beat the Chiefs.
And the Chiefs, what's his name? The
Patrick
quarterback?
Mahomes.
Yeah, and that they say, because I heard some guys talking about this. I was like, oh, please tell me so I can tell some information to Joe. But he was saying like, oh yeah, they are like protecting, they believe that the referees are protecting Mahomes.
Yeah, the like conspiracy theory is that the NFL wants Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And Travis Kelce now because of Taylor Swift, more eyeballs on the NFL, more viewership. And there may be some truth to that. We're not here to debate that. But what I want to talk about, what was interesting, is that the Bills lost, and there was a couple plays that the refs seem to have favored the Chiefs over the Bills. And everybody is, again, using that. See, this is what the NFL is doing. See, the refs cheating again. Or just giving the Chiefs an advantage. But I literally just last night saw a clip from one of their star players, a running back, James Cook, shout out, and they were asking about it. Like, are you frustrated? You feel like the Chiefs, again, got the best call from the refs. And he said, when it comes to football, you got to just get the job done. Should never leave it in the ref's hands. They should never even be, a part of the conversation.
Yeah.
And so we didn't do our job. We should have never put ourselves in a position where the refs even had any factor in the game.
Well, that's good.
And I immediately was like, I'm a big James Cook fan. Like, that's the crazy thing about what ownership does. Also, you have resonance with people. People are for you.
Yes.
They want us. Like, I'm a 49er fan. I want the 49ers to go to the Super Bowl and win. But if they don't, I want the Bills to win now.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, a guy like that deserves incredible success. And I think he will have it because he has the right mindset.
Yeah.
He has the right mentality. An ownership mindset prepares you for greatness. Even if it's not your reality in the moment. But you understand that this is the pathway towards success.
So this is the interesting thing with that guy, back to Beast Games, when he took that money, he said he took it because he was in debt, $530,000, which I was like, how's anyone debt for that much? But of course, mortgage.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know if you can call it like that, but anyhow, he did. But then I'm like, okay, so interestingly, he's going to take that money and hopefully he pays off his mortgage. But then what, like, as a person, if you're not building yourself for greatness, then where does his life go after that? I think that's the thing, you can't buy your own, like the cost of your soul. What is it?
Get the scriptures?
Yeah.
Yeah, what does it gain a man to, what is the pastor? We're pastors,
so
we're jacking it up. Yeah. But gain the whole world but forfeit his soul.
Yes.
Essentially, yeah.
So he's supposedly gaining the whole world, doing the small, like getting the thing which is the now, like, okay, I need to pay off my mortgage. But then what? Like when you say that, like, oh, someone's character, you're actually preparing yourself for the future. He was just thinking of the now. Yeah. And that's so small-minded. And it's like, actually, maybe that's the whole thing. Is this game is really not, I mean, obviously it's not really about the money. It's like to test your character, to test who you really are, to test who do you want to become, and can you be bought? Yeah. Because I would rather be, and I think by the end of it, everyone in that show is going to be for that person, like the woman who's like, I'm so for her because every point of the game, she chose other people over herself. She chose character over herself. And that's the person we want to follow. Sure. Like, do you want to be a person that people follow or people forget?
Yep. And it's like that is going to be the interesting thing post-show, right, is already you can tell it's been filmed or whatnot, but it'll be curious to see where they are in the world and what they're doing and up to and what opportunities
have they come their way.
Yeah, come their way. Because I think this girl, I think her name was Tawana, who's like our favorite person in the show so far. And I think a huge part of it is what you said. She has been the same person every step of the way. And I think that's also the issue with when people paint themselves one way, but then when they have an opportunity to show
who
their
they
true
really
character,
are.
It reveals, right? Because that's what we say, like, crisis reveals and character reveals, right? Like, moments of crisis reveal who we truly are. Yeah. And then in those moments of crisis and in those opportunities to go left or right, our character will be what will inform the choices that we make. And she has been the same person.
Because she has a strong character.
Every step of the way. Yeah. And even in one line in that last episode that really struck me is as she said, the reason I'm doing this is because I want to be for kids what I was not given when I was a kid.
Because she was homeless.
She was homeless. And so she's like, if I win the money and anything that I'm given, I'm putting it towards kids who are homeless. And I said that mindset, right, to not be bitter, not be angry, but to go, the very thing that I wish I had when I was a kid, that's who I'm going to become.
Interesting. So maybe if you have a mindset like I'm owed something, then when you get an opportunity to get it, you take it. Yeah. Even if it costs you everything. Whereas her, she's like, even if she has had she's had opportunities to make money in the show, but she hasn't taken it over her relationships or over people. It's never been at the cost of people.
Yeah.
So she's like, if I get the money, I get the money and I'll use it for good. But if I don't, I'll never take it for the cost of people.
Because she's rooted in her character.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty, right? Because if you're not rooted in good character, it will be flimsy when it's needed the most, and you'll be. It's like you're grasping for straws, right? And that you don't know how to make that right choice or the healthy choice because there's no grounding.
Wow.
But when you can make those choices in the small little things, right? That's the thing. Character is not formed in the big moments. They're formed in all the little moments leading up to the big moments. And you could build a backbone that's necessary, you know? And when it comes to relationships, right? And romantically, right? That's the thing. If your relationship isn't tested in the small moments, you know, in the little conflicts, in the little tiny cracks when you're dating, when you're engaged, right? If they're not tested in those moments and forged in those moments, you're gonna have nothing to stand on when you need a backbone of character when you're 10 years in, when life gets harder, when the decisions get far weightier. That's the thing, right? As you in dating and when you're with somebody, those moments are important because they give you texture to whether you can trust them in the big moments.
And that's what's interesting. It's like, okay, so it's not about that you're perfect.
Totally.
And it's not that you make all the right choices. It's that when you make a mistake, you own it. And when you own it, you take the power back. And then you're forming your character. Because you're showing someone else, hey, I know I blew it in this moment, but I'm going to work on it. And that in itself is you saying to that person, yes, maybe I broke your trust here, but I'm willing to build it up so I can have your trust for the rest of time, you know?
Yeah. It's great, yeah. And that's why character could never come at a cost, you know? And it is because it may be the most valuable attribute that we can develop in our own personhood and our own mindset and the person that we choose to become.
Well, that's the interesting thing. I think when I first came to LA and came to Mosaic, I didn't really understand the power of character. And you definitely taught me that it was about the small little choices, the choices that no one's seen, that you make. Like, for instance, it could be that you said you'll do something, then follow through with it. Like, let your yes be yes and your no be no. Like those little small things that I probably let myself have passes on because I'm like, it doesn't really matter.
Sure.
And you were like, no, it really does matter because this is the forming of your character. This is you building your foundation so that, like, I think that's so interesting. So that when you do come to a decision and you don't, and you're not sure what your yes or no is, you'll know what a yes or no is because you have character to back it up.
Yeah.
And that makes sense that he's like, he didn't have the character. So he was like, I guess I'll take it. I guess I'll take a lot. He wasn't really thinking straight.
Yeah. And not only take a lot, but even that part of, right, he said he was in debt $530,000, yet he took $650. So if it was just about, you know, I'm only doing this for my family to get us out of debt and have a clean slate, he would have given him a clean slate, but he didn't. He took extra. And that's the thing of greed. We know there's greed that was in his soul based on the choices he made. But that's the lie that greed would tell us, is that I'm taking this to make things right. And even, you know, he kept saying that, right? I need a clean slate. This is going to let us start over. But that's the wrong mindset.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not even about starting over. It's about what do you do when you're starting over, but or you're starting from scratch, but you're starting with broken pieces.
Yes, I was just thinking that you're
And it's-
starting with greed, like
Yeah, and
you want your family to be built on greed.
yeah.
I feel like it's gonna eat him up. I don't even know
Yeah, for sure. Because
how he's gonna shift and change as a person after this.
and that is true when it comes to relationships, right?
Yeah.
Greed can be one of the number one killers in a relationship because it's not just about money. Because you can be greedy with time. You can be greedy with
Emotions,
energy.
yeah, energy.
Greed with yeah, and it's like, because really greed is not about what you have. It's about where you feel there's a lack, and it's never enough. All right, and so I'm sure, there's been moments in our relationship where I've been greedy with time or energy or focus or I'm taking things because I'm trying to fill something
Wow.
in me. And whenever that's the reality, there's always going to be a disconnect because greed is a killer.
Dang.
But the
It's
moment,
like a silent killer.
yeah,
Because
for sure.
if you're being greedy, I don't know if I necessarily know it, because I'm like, okay, of course I'll give it, because I'm willing to. But when you start taking more than what you should, the other person might not know that you're taking more.
Yeah.
Only you know that you're taking more than you need.
For sure. And that's the interesting part too, maybe of how it works in relationships, is the fact that a person can feel like they're being drained and not know where the source is coming from. And in a relationship, that's why gratitude is the force that really kills. If greed is a killer in a relationship, gratitude is the thing that kills greed.
And builds your relationship, maybe.
Yeah, but it's like because you can't have greed and gratitude; they can't exist in the same space. They can't exist in the same universe. And so the moment you're grateful, and you appreciate everything. You appreciate the person. You appreciate what they bring to the table. The little pet peeves don't feel like nails on a chalkboard. They feel like little nuances that that you now appreciate the uniqueness in them. It's because you change your heart, you change your mindset, you change your perspective. And I wonder, for a lot of us, if we think the reason the relationship is not working or the reason there's conflict or tension is because we're trying to change the person rather than change our mindset. We're trying to change the person rather than change our perspective and what we appreciate. And that's back to the ownership piece. We have no control over what other people do, who they become, the choices they make, but we do have full ownership over who we become. And I think if every person in a relationship committed to be a person of character, rooted in truth, rooted in gratitude, rooted in sacrifice, right, in trust, then we'd see far less moments where greed steals, moments where generosity was actually supposed to live.
Yeah, or gratitude.
Yeah.
What do you think? What if you don't know that your character is bad?
That's dangerous.
Or like your relationship's not good, but you don't know where.
Well, that's why it's important to have other people in your life,
Yeah.
for sure, because we only have two eyes, and sometimes
We miss it.
We only see what we want to see.
Yeah.
So having people in your life who have other vantage points that you trust, that's one thing. But also what I think is true, what I've found to be true in life, most of the time we know it. Most of the time we know we have bad character. Most of the time we know when we're in an unhealthy relationship. Most of the time we know when we're a destructive person. We're just trying to act like,
Mask it up.
yeah, like it's not the reality, or hide it, or butter it up. When it comes to relationships, for sure, when you know you're not in a good one, you turn red flags into green flags, and because you want the world to see what you hope for, not what's really in front of you.
Can I ask you a last question?
One last question, yeah.
So you know, when you said like, oh yeah, sometimes, oh, I can be greedy, and I realize I do that, and then you flipped it. You can change it to be grateful. Are there times when you feel inside yourself, even with us, where you're like, oh shoot, I think I'm taking more than I should, or?
Yeah, of course, for sure. You know, I mean, that's a part of being human in those moments, right? Where, oh, I wish I got more time instead of the girls got more time. You know, I wish I went to go see the movies with Beck, you know, instead of the girls getting to go see a movie with Beck. I wish I got to take the kids to the park or go on a walk around. You know, I'm just thinking of things that off the top of my head. Those are greed. They could be greedy mindsets. I want more. Not, you know, I want more of you. I want more of your time. I want more of those moments, as opposed to, I'm just so grateful that you get to experience that. I'm so grateful that's bringing you life. You know, when I'm at my best, I don't need to be the one that's always bringing the life. I can be the one that's enjoying you, appreciating life and life being given to you, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It just reminds me, I'm like, oh yeah, you love quality time. So if I'm having quality time without you, then I forget that could hurt. Not hurt, maybe not a strong word, but like, you're like, I want to do that too.
Yeah, but it's like then it comes on me to go, okay, do I try to steal it from other aspects of the relationship because I feel like that wasn't something that we encountered together, experienced together, or do I posture myself to go, that's beautiful. Don't need to change anything.
Yeah.
You know?
So it's like little self-checks.
Yeah. I try to do a lot of self-checks, and I think that's healthy for all of us to do the self-checks in the little moments.
Because then I think also if you don't do those self-checks, then it leaks out, right?
Yep.
And it's the people that you love the most is usually the ones that get hurt the most by you not self-checking, by you not owning your mistakes. Like maybe it could be like you're not owning your mistake at work and you feel like your power is taken from you at work. And so then when you come home, you take it out on your spouse or your kids.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, let's just be honest. This hurts because I don't feel like I have power here, but I'm not going to bring it home. Or I'm going to own it that I need to change something at work then.
Yeah. Yep, that's good.
So those little ownership things, if you don't take them and take them seriously, you'll just leak it on to someone else.
That's good. Well, on that note, I think we should wrap up.
Yeah.
Hope you've enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share with friends. And then, we can't wait to see you live and in person at Unguarded Live here in LA, February 16th. Be on the lookout for more details. Go give us your info. Sign up for the newsletter because, we want to fill the room with incredible people who want their relationships to thrive. So thank you for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next week on Unguarded.
Bye.